Rajon Rondo is notoriously combative and hard on head coaches. Rondo is ultra-competitive, has a high basketball IQ, and thinks things should be done a certain way. If a coach wants to take a different approach, he has to convince Rondo that's a good idea. Rondo is not an "you say jump, I say how high" kind of guy. Just ask Rick Carlisle. Someday, Rondo wants to be the guy a point guard is yelling at. Or, he wants to be the guy picking the coach and the point guard who will yell at each other. Rondo is not ready to retire. Playoff Rondo is in full bloom this spring, but when he does, he wants to stay involved in the NBA, either as a coach or GM, he told Mark Stein of the New York Times. "I want to be a general manager, and I want to be a head coach," Rondo said. "Definitely both. It's a little difficult to envision. Not because Rondo couldn't do the job, he absolutely can. He's a coach on the court now and a guy who studies film and opponents. He knows how to attack defenses and how to win, even if his body can't execute what his mind sees like it once could. He also knows players, personnel, and chemistry. However, being an NBA coach in the modern NBA is to put your ego aside. The elite players are both the stars and the guys with the power. If a top player wants a coach gone, well, we've seen how that battle goes many times. The best coaches get players to buy in, and know how to put their ego aside for the betterment of the team." Even Greg Popovich retooled his offense this season to better accommodate LaMarcus Aldridge. Could Rondo do that? Oh, and he'd have to talk to the media every day during the season, often multiple times a day, which is no coach's favorite part of the job, but it's part of it. General manager is an even more diplomatic position than coach. Still, if I were a coach or GM, I'd be willing to bring Rondo into the fold once his playing days are done and see if he can mold into the job, and mold the job to himself a little. He's got the mind for it, that's not in doubt. Russell Westbrook is going to get the better of Ricky Rubio in Game 6, but not for a good reason. Rubio, who has been battling a sore hamstring through much of the series, aggravated it early and went to the locker room. He was ruled out for the rest of the game. Ricky Rubio, left hamstring, will not return. Utah Jazz at Utah Jazz, April 28, 2018. This will mean more Dante Exum and Alec Burks for Utah. This is a blow to a Utah offense that struggles to create good offense, something that has been a particular problem in the early stages of Game 6. Rubio has averaged 16.8 points and 8.6 assists per game, and while he hasn't been efficient, true shooting percentage of 47.7, he has scored enough to keep the OKC defense honest and open things up. He outplayed Westbrook, leading to Westbrook saying he would shut Rubio down, then played out of control trying to do so the next game. Without Rubio, the Thunder defenders can focus more on stopping Donovan Mitchell. LeBron James looked human. More than any other time since he left Cleveland in 2010, his team can't afford him to. Thaddeus Young blooded him with an errant elbow. Victor Oladipo dunked on him. Lance Stevenson taunted him relentlessly. And, when LeBron usually delivers a knockout punch, he failed to finish off the Pacers. LeBron lost for the first time in his last 12 closeout games, the Cavaliers falling 121-87 to Indiana in Game 6 Friday. At 3-3, this is already the worst first-round series by a LeBron team. He won his previous 12 most via sweep in only 2 requiring 6 games. He'll try to avoid his first-round elimination in Game 7 Sunday in Cleveland. Home teams have won 80% of Game 7s, but home teams in series between number 4 and number 5 seeds, like this one, are just 3-4 in Game 7s. That's a small sample, but it speaks to the competitiveness in even matchups like this. Indiana is certainly making it competitive. Oladipo, 28 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists and 4 steals, was the best player on the court. 6 of his teammates scored double figures in the most lopsided win in Pacers history. On the other hand, it's becoming only more clear, as if it weren't already, LeBron must single-handedly carry the Cavs to the second round if they're going to get here. He has scored 46, 32 and 44 points in wins, and 24, 28 and now 22 points in losses this series. Neither LeBron nor Oladipo played in the fourth quarter, the result clear much sooner. Stevenson ran on court to strum an air guitar during third quarter play, either believing a timeout had been called or just not caring. The Pacers are playing loose, hard and effectively. They've outscored Cleveland by 44 in this series. The Cavaliers should be favored Sunday. But Indiana has pushed and pushed and pushed and isn't stopping. With its season on the line in the fourth quarter of an elimination game, the Wizards had nothing. Their offense was stagnant and relied too much on their 2 stars to create everything off the dribble for everyone. Their bench was no help. A season of inconsistent, in part due to injuries, and at times disinterested play caught up with them. Washington shot 25% in the fourth quarter. John Wall was 0 of 4 and again looked gassed. The Wizards allowed the Raptors to pull down 8 offensive rebounds in the fourth alone, and they allowed the Toronto to start the quarter on an 11-2 at the hands of the Raptors' deep bench. After that, Toronto never looked back. The result was a 102-92 Toronto win that eliminates Washington from the postseason and sends the Raptors on to the next round, to face the winner of the Pacers-Cavaliers series. "We knew they were going to make a run. They were on their home floor. We just had to stay aggressive," Kyle Lowry said of the Raptors in the fourth. "We needed this game. We wanted to win this game bad." After a rough first trip to Washington earlier this series, where the Wizards won Games 3 and 4 and doubt started to creep into the minds of Raptors fans, and maybe players, this was redemption. In Game 5 and again Friday night, in Game 6, back in Washington, the Raptors trusted what won them 59 games in the regular season. They defended well, particularly in transition, they shared the ball on offense, and they leaned on their bench, which had Fred VanVleet back for the first time this series. It was that bench that started the fourth for Toronto with an 11-2 run, aided by the Wizards' 0-4 shooting. The Raptors were doing it on both ends, playing good defense, then turning those misses and turnovers into buckets going the other way. "Our bench is always my favorite part. I love those guys to death," Lowry said. "Freddie came back and gave us some juice. Pascal Siakam was guarding 17 people. We got CJ, Miles, and those guys. And they were great." The Raptors also got 24 points on 15 shots from an energized Kyle Lowry, which made up for an off night from DeMar DeRozan, 16 points on 18 shots. Those stars shared the ball and that led to 8 Raptors with at least 7 points. Washington should look at this series and how they got beat as a model going forward. Toronto reshaped its offense last offseason to share the ball more, run more motion and actions off the ball, and not just rely on its stars. They focused nightly on defense and playing the right way. The Raptors had the best bench in the league and trusted it. Washington needs all of those things. Early in the first quarter, energized by the crowd, it seemed as if the Wizards might force a Game 7. The Wizards got 7 quick transition points, playing fast early and get up by 11 on 7 of 9 shooting. Then reality set in. The Raptors did better with transition defense to slow the game down and the Wizards shot just 3 of 15 the rest of the quarter. Still, the Wizards were up 30-20 after one as the Raptors just could not hit shots. The return of VanVleet instantly settled Toronto's second unit down, led to good decisions and clean looks, including a couple of lobs. The Raptors closed the gap in the second quarter, a couple of times, led by Lowry's 10 points in the quarter, to make it a 53-50 Wizards lead at the half. Bradley Beal put on a show with 12 points in the fourth quarter to keep the Wizards in front by a few. Beal finished the game with 32 points on 22 shots. Wall had 23 points but on 9 of 22 shooting and with 8 assists, and 4 turnovers. Then came the fourth, the Raptors bench, and the rested stars. After that, it was all over, and the Wizards fans were leaving early. Toronto goes home and will get to rest for a few days, then watch Game 7 between the Pacers and Cavaliers on Sunday. I so want to see this enforced, uniformed officers parked at the National Institute for Fitness and Sport, or maybe Garfield Park on a warm day, waiting for some guy to goaltend on a shot, then rushing out, taking him down and arresting him. That would be an excellent use of police manpower. In a not that serious crass political move that probably plays well with his base, Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett has banned goaltending in the city. Obviously, this is in response to LeBron James's goaltend on Victor Oladipo with 5 seconds left in a tie game Wednesday night. In its last 2-minute report, the league confirmed it was a goaltend and missed call. Who cares if the call is moot? LeBron hit a 3 at the other end that would have trumped the 2 on the goaltend, plus Indy had plenty of other things that cost them the game before that play. It plays well and that's all that matters. Indiana heads home for a must-win Game 6 Friday night.